Looks as though we have reached the appointed hour of 9:30. We will call the Cumberland County Board of Elections meeting to order, and we'll begin with a roll call, please.
Commissioner Nieder?
Here.
Commissioner Fauci?
I'm here.
Commissioner Eichelberger?
All right. We will then begin with public comment. If there's any member of the public that wishes to make a comment, now would be the opportunity to do so. I will ask if there's anyone online interested in making a public comment, and we'll begin there. If you would like to use the raise your hand feature, if you have interest in making public comment.
There is a CM who has raised their hand.
Okay.
So I will hit the allow to talk button.
All right, CM, you are in our conference room, I believe. If you could please identify yourself and limit your comment to a couple of moments if possible, please. I'm sorry, we may be having some difficulty.
Yes.
Oh, you are showing as muted, CM, on our side. If you wish to make a comment, could you please unmute and do so at this time? Okay, we will now move to the room. Is there any?
Sorry. There's a phone number.
Sorry. Commissioners, there's a phone number in the attendee list.
Okay, would the individual on the phone wish to make any public comment at this time, as you can't deploy the raise your hand feature from your number? If so, please unmute and indicate that.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Could you please identify yourself if you...
My name is Anita Burton. I believe CM, Caroline Macharaju, is attempting to get herself situated so she may make comment. If you guys could give her just a moment.
Anita, did you want to make a comment at this time?
I just did.
Okay, that was it. No comment for the board.
No, thank you.
Okay. We will then move into the room to begin taking. Ma'am, I believe you had your hand up first. If you could identify yourself, please.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. My name is Kimberly Turner, resident of Mechanicsburg, and I'm also a Mechanicsburg area leader for Cumberland County Democrats. An appeals panel of the PA Commonwealth Court decided on December 24th that Washington County Board of Elections erred in its return ballot notice policy, which does not give notice to voters of mail-in ballot errors. The court held that Washington County Board of Elections deprived voters of their due process right under Pennsylvania law to challenge or cure defects in their mail-in ballots or to provisionally vote after being notified of such ballot errors. When this occurred in Washington primary on May 24th, 259 voters, or 2% of mail-in ballots received according to the lawsuit. In the upcoming election, such a percentage could impact the outcome of our county. While the decision is a directive only to Washington County, the decision relies on interpretation of Pennsylvania law, which law applies to all of us. I believe that all Pennsylvania counties, including Cumberland County, should ensure that the policy and procedures are in place to allow voters their due process right to contest a disqualified vote or cast a provisional ballot. And I urge Cumberland County Board of Elections to make a public statement to educate voters on their return ballot policy in advance of the election. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. We will take the next person. Yes, Ms. Austin.
Hi, I'm Debbie Austin from Lemoyne, and I just wanted to respond to Bethany's article in the Sentinel, September 27th. I'm glad that I've had some time to digest this article because I have run through a range of emotions. My first reaction was shock, surprise to read a hit piece about myself in the local media. My next reaction was anger because there were inaccuracies throughout the article. Next, I felt sadness, sad that an effort by an ad hoc group of people intending to inform and assist fellow citizens and help clean up voter rolls was portrayed as an effort to overwhelm Bethany and hamper the election process. Technology and access make it very easy to register to vote. All I need to do is apply for a driver's license, look at my mail, or Google the process. Few people are aware that when you move and or register in another location, your voting record does not automatically follow you and is not canceled in your previous location. The objective of the mailing effort that I participated in is to make it easy for people that have moved out of state and forgot to cancel their registrations to complete and send the proper form. As Bethany's flow chart shows, a voter can remain on the rolls in an inactive status on average 10 years after the person files their change of address with the post office, if the person does not respond to a notice. The current figures show that the Bureau of Elections notices have led to 347 voters removed from our rolls, while the mailing project has removed 763 voters from our rolls. The impression I get from both Bethany and the Bureau of Elections is that myself and any people or groups I am affiliated with are the enemy. But our intent is not to disrupt or impede the election process. Nothing could be further from the truth. All we want are transparent, fair elections. I am a concerned citizen and I have the right to participate in my government and in elections. I wish that the Cumberland County Bureau of Elections could be more cordial and receptive to citizen participation. If anyone would like to see a copy of the letter that was mailed out, I have copies available. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Sorry to interrupt. CM Online is now indicating as well.
Well,
Okay.
we will do the folks in the room.
Okay, Richard Snyder, Mechanicsburg, and I've attended the logic and accuracy testing a couple times, and it's an educational process. I'd encourage more people to do it. But I did have some questions. I don't know if I can get those answered here, but if I don't ask, they can't say no. How many days are you anticipating for the logic and accuracy testing this year? And would that include, because in the directive from the state for the logic and accuracy testing, it talks about language testing, and I wonder how many languages we're testing for in the election. And I think, what was the last one I had? The election act reporting testing, is that going to be included in this year's testing?
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. We'll wait for our
Whatever. Okay.
update from Bethany to address perhaps some of your issues.
Thank you.
Yes.
John Anzioni, Silver Springs Township. I have here a directive that came out from the Department of State on March 7th. And I read through it because I have observed twice the logic and accuracy testing, and you couldn't observe. You're in the hallway. And I brought that up at a board meeting here. And as far as I know, nothing has been done about it. On this directive, there are a lot of things in here that, as far as I know, weren't done. So I don't know, are you going to follow these directives this time? Can people observe? According to this, they have to be able to observe. It has, it says here, shall not prevent members of the public from fairly, I don't know how you define fairly, observing, and should be published after public approval by the election board. A couple other things in here is it says that you're to have multi-partisan teams to do the testing. And I don't remember that there were any bipartisan or multi-partisan teams that did the testing. And I think that in here it says you're supposed to have ballots that are marked with all different types of markers. I don't remember the ballots being marked at all with different types of markers. And it says to shy away from allowing the vendors to do the testing. I don't know if vendors were doing the testing or not, because I was in the hallway. I couldn't see a thing. So I don't understand why they have observers. They have to publicize observers They want observers, but yet you can't observe.
Mr. Lencioni, I'm sorry, were you finished or?
Well, to me, observe means to watch closely. Now, I don't know what their definition of observe is. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I could do, observe. I could observe from my home better than I could from here. Maybe you should live stream it so that people can see it. That's all I have to say, just taken from what he said. And I also want to say that I'd like to thank Deb for looking at the voting lists and getting people off the voting list. It seems to me like there was a court case, if I remember, that from the Judicial Watch that this county has to do certain things. I don't know if they're doing them or not, but it seems to me like what Deb and her crew or the crew or whoever did it, it seems to me like they were doing the things that should have been done, or the Judicial Watch wouldn't have brought up Cumberland County as not taking care of their lists, if I have that correctly. I'm not that familiar with it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, our director can address any, perhaps some of those questions in her update. Is there anyone else who wishes? Mr. Cobb?
Yeah, John Cobb, Lemoyne, real short, 2 items. One is that previously I discussed, or at least sent to Bethany and the board via email, a list of people that not only showed that they had moved out of our county and into other states, but had in fact registered in those other states. That was sent some months ago. And in fact, 2 of those people have requested mail ballots from our county, even though they have moved and have registered. So I don't expect that we'll be able to do anything with those based on the flow chart. However, should they end up voting in both states, their votes will be counted in both states. And unfortunately, that if they do vote in both states, that would of course be directed to the district attorney. And I have that list here, and I'll be happy to enter that into the record. And later on, if anyone wants a copy of it, I'll be happy to email it. The second item is that in that same article that Ms. Austin referenced, it was referenced that the Cumberland County Election Integrity Task Force was a part of that mailing activity, and that is incorrect. And I'm saddened that we were aligned or mismentioned in that comment. We had nothing to do with that. I've never seen the letters. Most of our team has never seen the letters, never signed a letter, never bought a stamp, never licked an envelope, don't know anything about it. So that's that. So, and I don't know how I ended up getting dragged into the conversation, but thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time? Oh, yes, ma'am.
Gosh, I had no prepared remarks. But I guess just a comment.
I'm sorry, your name?
Madeline Campbell.
Madeline, okay, thank you.
And I was at the last meeting where I think these letters possibly were discussed, and I'm out of the loop, and I apologize for that. But I just want to say that my interactions with the election boards have been nothing but stellar. Bethany helped me with an issue the other day in a very patient and fantastic way. And my impression from the last meeting, and I could be wrong, was that some letters went out, unbeknownst to the election board, that gave people an opportunity to remove themselves from voting rolls. And I'm not sure that that's the same thing, but I would just want to say something about transparency. When someone says we want to be transparent, I think coordination is the issue there. That if a group wants to try to help with cleaning up the voter rolls, it should be done in conjunction with the election board, and then the election board and those involved, the election, not the board, but the election people ought to be aware of what's going on. in other words, why not approach them and have a coordinated effort? Why not say, let's see if we can work together to clean up the voter rolls, if that's an imperative that wants to be done. It shouldn't be just somebody that goes out and decides as a group, we're just going to do this. My impression is that the letter that went out looked like it was from the county election board, but it hadn't, but the county election was not even aware of that letter until they got somebody coming with it or something. So I just think that transparency means coordination as well. In other words, working with the people that are involved rather than just going out and deciding to do something to send out a letter that hasn't been either approved by this commission in our county, by the board, election board. And I don't think that that's right. And maybe in the future, people could work together to coordinate an effort in a very strategic and upfront and appropriate and accurate way.
Thank you. Yes. Mr. Mills.
Sam Milkus, I just, a number of the comments made this morning have suggested that there is some non-compliance or lack of full compliance by this county and how it runs things. And I just want to say I've observed many activities over the years now. I've been to logic and accuracy testing, for example. My experience has been that there's always been full compliance. It's true for logic and accuracy that you can't roam around and kind of hover over people's shoulders to look at every machine, but you're looking into the room where the testing is done. You can see the activity going on. It wasn't my experience that you were unable to do that. So I just want to put in a positive word that seems to me the county has been complying well with its obligations. Last thing about logic and accuracy, what I observed, I don't know their party, but there were quite a number of people in the room performing these tests. It was not just one or two people. It was not the vendors. It was various people conducting these tests. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. And thank you, Mrs. Campbell. I didn't acknowledge that. And now, is there someone online that wishes to make a comment?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, please. And limit your comment to 3 minutes, please.
Yes, I apologize for the earlier issue I had with my phone. But okay, my name's Caroline Macharaju, and I just thought I would ask, I just came across this breaking news out of Luzerne County that they had a backlog of unprocessed voter applications and mail-in applications. And I just wondered if, we're encountering anything like that in our county, or if we're keeping up with processing them timely. And then the other question I had is when someone applies for a mail-in ballot, I understand there's an option to give emails. And I was just curious if Bethany could speak to how many percentage-wise. I would think everyone would want a confirmation via email. I was just wondering if she could tell us if she has a sense of how many emails, if most of the mail-in ballot applications, if they provide their email. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Macharaju. And again, we will ask Bethany to maybe address some of these issues in her director's update. All right, if there is no other comment at this time, Ms. Austin.
I guess it's not proper for me to respond to the lady that spoke.
Yeah, we're not getting into debate here. Thank you.
We have a hand raised from, I believe Anita spoke earlier, but she has her hand raised. It's online here.
Okay. She'd been offered an option to speak. Do we typically revamp that again, Jen?
It's up to the board. I think she was just telling you that her,
Okay.
Ms. Macharaju was having technical issues.
Okay.
She's been given the opportunity to speak.
Okay, well, Ms. Burton, did you have something a comment that you were wanting to make at this time?
Yes, please.
Okay,
If Bethany would please add to her report, to piggyback off of what Mrs. Macharaju said with regard to the emails, how many of those are duplicate email addresses as well, requesting various mail-in ballots, please? That's all. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, and while there have been many questions posed, I have a sense that not all will be able to be answered based upon some of the nature of those questions. So we will allow Bethany to talk about process and things that she has in place and the plans that we have for the upcoming election in her update. But I don't want her to feel compelled that I'm indicating to you all that she is going to have an answer for every question. In some of those systems, we may not control. So we will move on to the approval of the meeting minutes of September 3rd. If anyone would like to make a motion to do so.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Discussion and approval to submit the petition for the appointment of persons to fill vacancies in the election boards.
Yes, so there are some vacancies, and as is the board's practice prior to a primary or election, when there is a vacancy and consistent with the election code provisions, the board will submit a petition to our court for approval. And the proposed petition was provided in your packets. And I would ask for the board please to approve filing of the petition with our court. And then Ms. Nieder, if I could, presuming the board approves the filing, I'd just like to get your signature before today's end.
Someone like to make a motion to approve the filing?
I'll move for approval.
A second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. That takes us to the much anticipated director update.
I have a stage. Okay, just a couple of things that I have before I address other things. Mail-in ballots. Obviously those mail-in and absentee ballots, obviously that's what's on everyone's mind and everyone's interested on when they are going out. Our plan is to begin mailing them out this week, probably closer to the end of the week. We do have a total as of this morning of 31,655. 16,606 of those are Democratic mail-ins. 10,962 of those are Republican mail-ins, and 4,087 are other parties. Then another reminder is that we do have extra hours that will be open for people to drop off their mail-in or absentee ballots. October 24th, we will be open until 7. October 26th, which is a Saturday, we will be open from 9 to 12. October 30th, we will be open until 7 p.m. And November 2nd, which is the Saturday before the election, we will be open from 9 to 1. And that is for ballot drop-off only. Okay, so just a reminder about that. I did want to mention a postcard went out to some voters who applied for mail-in ballots, reminding them to return their ballot, which of course caused a little bit of confusion because voters don't have their ballots yet. So just want to point that out. That did go out, and great reminder, but yes.
I was like, well, ballots have not even gone out
yet. So we have received quite a few phone calls about it. So I just kind of want to say, great reminder, but we haven't mailed them out yet. So, and we are historically on track to mail them out in the same time frame that we've always done for every election since I've been here anyway, 3 to 4 weeks before the election. If we get them out this week, we'll be at 5 weeks. So we'll be ahead of the game. So.
And Bethany, I want to just reiterate the delay in getting our ballots printed was the decision that we were awaiting from the court as to who was actually on the ballot and challenges to the ballot.
Yeah, and it really wasn't a delay because we will be mailing them out in the same time frame we've always mailed them. So actually, luckily,
earlier. I apologize, but
we did have to wait for some court decisions.
We were waiting for some court decisions before we could get our ballots printed, which just I believe came out, was it last week or I guess a week ago?
Yeah. So that seems to be the way it works nowadays. We're waiting on court cases, but yes. So we are on track, like I said, to mail them at the same time frame that we always do, but that will be hopefully by the end of this week. That's all I have for director updates that I had for you. I will address what I can here. I think I wrote some notes, so hopefully I get to everything.
Bethany, can I just go back to one thing?
Oh,
'Cause I
yes,
know I
I'm
reached
sorry.
out to you because some folks had questioned me as to our turnaround on getting our ballots printed. And you indicated that some smaller counties that quite frankly just do not have the volume that we have in Cumberland County.
Yes.
Print them themselves.
Yep.
So that does allow them to be a little bit more responsive in mailing, but it was not even a dozen, it was a handful of counties
Yes.
that are in that position.
Yeah, from my other election director colleagues around the state, it seems like this week and next week are the mailing weeks. Seems like that's the, majority of directors are saying they're either mailing this week or next week.
Okay,
So.
very good, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, we're in a meeting, we can follow up later, thank
I
you.
think it might be important.
Excuse me, John,
Yeah, I'm just saying.
thank you, go ahead.
So I will, let's see, I'm just gonna go through my list here. As far as the backlog, I'm not sure about Lucerne. We in Cumberland County are not. The numbers I gave you are for mail-in ballot applications, or as of this morning, when I got to work at 8 a.m. We were caught up when we left yesterday, when we left last night, and voter registrations are the same thing. We are caught up as of yesterday's mail. And of course, the onlines are caught up as of when we left last night. So, and I'm sure my staff, as I speak, is busily working on the ones that came in this morning. So we are completely caught up with those. Thanks. And let's see, emails. When a voter applies for a mail-in or absentee online, they are required to put in an email address. So obviously all the online applications do have an email. And those who are applying on a paper form don't have to fill in the email section, but they can. And I would say as time goes on, more and more people are filling in that email section on the paper application because it does give them updates on their ballot, when it was mailed to them, when it was returned to our office, those sorts of things. But of course, I still run across many that do not have an email address, or people say that don't have one, whatever. So I'm not sure percentage wise, but quite a few have an email address listed. The duplicate question, I don't even know what that means. So I don't plan on addressing that. Let's see. LNA testing. We do have obviously logic and accuracy testing that we perform before every election as required by the election code. We do not do language testing because Cumberland County does not have a ballot in any other language. Other counties that have a certain percentage of population of people who speak a language are required to have their ballots in other languages. We are not one of them, so we do not test languages. We do test all processes during our public testing. So basically it's like running a small election day. We open the polls, we vote the ballots, we close the polls, we run the results through our system, and we come up and we have our results. We do that every time. We always have, from start to finish. People don't always stay the whole time, so maybe that's why they're not seeing the entire process as it plays out. As far as the directive that was mentioned, I will say that one of the things in this directive that John mentioned on page 5 says that only election officials and those conducting testing are allowed into the testing area. So that would be why they are not in the room where the testing is happening, because this directive says they're not to be in the room. So they are in an area where they are able to observe and they can see everything that's happening. And bipartisan teams, we use our election staff, which have different political parties. So they are bipartisan teams. We do not use vendors to do any of our testing, never have. And let's see what else. I think that's all I have. I think that's everything.
Thank you, Bethany. Did anyone on the board have questions of Bethany that they wanted to ask at this time, for any other update that you may want information on?
I do not.
Okay. Hearing none, there is a request for executive session concerning pending litigation and security that will be held following this meeting at 10 o'clock, which is right on time. If there is there any other business to come before the board at this time? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.